you so much for coming on to gain some information about with business owners, entrepreneurs regarding life insurance and why it's so important. You could have been doing anything else tonight, but you chose to be here, so that speaks volumes about you. And I'm so glad you turned your camera on because I started to feel like I was talking to just a bunch of boxes and names. And if you could, I'd love to see your smiling faces as well. Okay, Pink, yes. All
I
right,
got you,
Fuchsia.
Lisa.
So if you guys have the capacity to turn on your cameras, please do. That way I know I'm not talking to just Hollywood squares. We got enough of that during COVID. Now it's time to just, be vivid and be, seen. So again, thanks so much for carving out time out of your busy schedules to come on tonight. It is going to be amazing. You're going to learn so much, at least I hope you will. And so let's get started. And I thank you for your patience and your time. And thanks to the DJ. Great music, right? Okay.
Yep.
All right. So if you guys can mute yourselves that way, because we're going to record, if you will mute yourselves, and there will be plenty of time for question and answer. So if you mute, trust and believe I will get to that question perhaps during the presentation. And if not, you will have ample time at the end to ask your questions. So give me one moment and I will begin to share my screen and we will get started. All right, so as the screen indicates, so what are we going to talk about tonight? Business owners and entrepreneurs prepare for the expected and unexpected with what? Life insurance. Okay. So it's great to have a plan because those who don't have a plan, you plan to fail. So let's get into it. All right, so first the introduction. So whether you just started your business or you are a seasoned entrepreneur, we want to commend you on the initial leap of faith that it took to get started. Today we will educate you on life insurance. We will give you real life examples of, using actual business owners. We will also give you access to tools that will assist you in making wise decisions for yourself and ultimately your business. So now about me, I'm your speaker tonight. So a little bit about myself. I've been an entrepreneur and a business owner since 2001. I know I don't look it. I know I don't look my age. And so I have a master's degree in counseling, and I'm a licensed senior life insurance agent as well, and a training and development coach. So I think I do have some credentials to speak to you tonight. And if you don't think so, and if you don't know, hopefully by the end of the presentation, you will agree. Okay. All right, so first off, let's do a quick poll. I want you to drop a one in the chat if you just started your business in 2025. Drop a one in the chat. If you just started your business here, that would only be 2 weeks old, 2025. All right. I drop a two in the chat if you've been in business for at least 6 months to about right at 2 years. I want to see a two in that chat. I don't see any things happening here. Let me see. Or do I? Let me look at this chat. I need some participation from you. So maybe you're not participating because I didn't get to your number yet. I need a three in that chat if you're 2+ years to 5 years. That's what I need to know. Put a three in the chat if you've been in business for 2 to 5 years. And I'm here to stay. You've been in business for 5 years or more. I need you to, thank you so much, to drop a four in the chat if you've been in business for 5 years or more. Okay, I see the chat's lighting up. Some of you all have been in business for quite some time. I'm looking for a one, a two, a three, or a four. Let me take a look at this chat and see who we have in here. Okay, we got a bunch of fours, some 2 to 5 years. Okay, that's good. That's a sweet spot. That's a great spot to be in. Let me look and see. Oh, it's a bunch of fours. It's a fours taking over. But we got some ones, so we can have a great group. So we have a nice mixture of business owners, and I love to see it. So again, I commend you on starting your business because that's the hardest part is getting started because everyone thinks about it. Everyone says, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. But until you actually take the steps and do it, you're just like everybody else. So kudos to you. All right, let's go. Now, next off, what is insurance? I'm not going to assume that everyone knows. So I'm going to make this so very basic where, hold on, where it's like, okay, let's get into the foundations of insurance. Insurance is a financial arrangement in which an individual or entity pays a premium to an insurance company in exchange for protection against specific risk or losses. Essentially, it's a way to manage risks by transferring the financial burden of potential losses, such as accidents, illnesses, property damage, or death, to an insurer. All right? Now, What we're talking about is being able to prepare for the expected. What's the expected? The things you want, that white picket fence, two dogs, married, with your kids and all that. That's the expected. So you want to be able to prepare for those things, because if something happens to you, you don't want your husband or your wife packing up and leaving that house that you guys, prepared for and planned for together all along, or the childhood home that your children are growing up in. So you want to prepare for the expected, because guess what? We all know we got to get out of here. We just don't know when, if we're being real. Okay. All right. So, life insurance. This insurance provides protection to the family in case of premature death, or gives an adequate amount at the old age when earning capacities are reduced. Most times you'll hear elderly person say, I'm on a fixed income. But if they start life insurance from so early, it can even pay them during the times that they don't have as much money anymore and they're not earning as much as they used to. So we'll get into that as well. But I just wanted you to know that that's the thing. If you started early enough and you've had it and you've been paying in for quite some time, it can turn around and start paying you, or at least stop you from having to pay the premium and not allocate those funds to having to pay that anymore after a period of time. All right, so there are different types of insurances for business owners, and we're going to get into each of those kinds. So I didn't say this, but if you're a true business owner, without me having said it, I would have hoped that you grabbed a piece of paper and a pen so that you could take some. Come on, Hope. All right. She peeled hers up. She's like, I got it. A piece of paper and a pen so that you could take copious notes. Anytime you come to anything, anywhere that you're going to be gaining knowledge and information, you should always have a piece of paper and a pen. Why? Because something that is going to be said is going to maybe change the trajectory of how things go in the future, whether that's in the next week, next month, yes, next year to come. So take notes, but better than taking notes, take action. Making sense? Everybody with me? Good deal. All right. So the very first one we're going to talk. Oh, I have a typo. I must have changed that by accident. Don't look at that. Don't look. It's not kept. It's really key. That's supposed to be a Y. Slip of the finger. Key person insurance. Okay. Jot that down. Don't look at the screen. It's not kept. It's KEY. Key person. They used to say key man insurance, but we got a little, offended by that. Like, what you mean key man? Key woman, key man, key person. Key person insurance. The other one we're going to talk about is individual life insurance for small business owners and entrepreneurs alike. The other one we're going to discuss tonight is term life insurance. And lastly, we're going to talk about whole life insurance. So I'll give you a moment to jot those four down, because as you jot them down, leave enough space, because you're going to want to write, like, what are they about? What are these things? And so again, key person, individual life insurance for small business owners, term life insurance, and whole life insurance. So here we have key person, the key person insurance. This is also known, just like I said, as key man, key woman, or business life insurance. It's meant to provide your business with enough readily available cash if a critical employee or other person vital to the success of your business were to die. These policies are typically purchased by a company who is also the beneficiary in the event of the essential employee's death. For example, does your business rely on an individual who has provided positive benefits to your company's bottom line? Their connections, their experience, number of years that they've been with your company, things like that. What would happen if they were to suddenly be gone? Life insurance can provide you with the money needed to help make up for the lost revenue, as well as buy you some time to find and train their replacement. That's of high importance right there. So ask yourself, if you were to lose a key employee, would your business experience a serious financial setback? If yes, then you may want to secure a key person life insurance policy. Got that one? All right, now let's get into individual life insurance for small business owners. Some businesses can carry a great deal of monthly overhead. From rent and inventory to loans and vendors, bills must be paid to keep the business operating. If you were to die tomorrow, would your loved ones be able to keep the business operating, or be forced to liquidate and sell? Can you imagine, all of you that put fours in the chat, after having took the time to build that thing up 2 to 5 years or wherever you are, that you now have your family is just going to go to liquidating and selling. You're like, man, I built that. That's my baby. That's going to be the legacy. So we wouldn't want those kind of things to be the reality because there's not any liquid funds to keep it going in your absence. Now, buying an individual life insurance policy as a small business owner can help ensure that upon your death, your loved ones will have the immediate cash to help keep the doors open. This is money that can be used to pay the bills or even fund the salary of the new key employee to help run the business after you're gone. So imagine a nice influx of cash where you can be like, man, somebody knows exactly what I did and they know how to do it. My wife doesn't know how to do it. My son or daughter don't know how to do it, but this person that's, fully equipped in the industry knows, and here's a salary that we can offer them to keep our business afloat and keep the monthly revenue coming in. That makes a lot of sense to me. All right. Term life insurance. We're off to the third one. Term life insurance provides protection to for a set number of years. Okay. It provides it for, 10 to 30 years. This type of insurance can be beneficial during the years you are building your business, because it's going to be tough, but at least you have a safety net or an umbrella there that in the event something happens while you're building, you have this or your family has this to fall on. Term life insurance can help pay off business loans or provide income for your family or business partner in case you passed away. So sometimes it's not just you. You may have a partner. Can you imagine if one person's the brains and the other person's the brawn, and you're like, well, dang, they're gone, and it does not work without them. And now all that you guys have built together has to be shut down simply because there was not a plan and you were not prepared. Let that not be the case here tonight, especially since you're here. I know you're learning that information, and wisdom would have told you that as well. But now it's a matter of not only planning, but preparing and putting the plan into action. Let's talk about whole life. Now, whole life is a type of permanent life insurance with set premium payments and a guaranteed death benefit. This insurance can accumulate cash value over time at a fixed interest rate. You may consider whole life insurance if you want an additional savings option that offers permanent coverage with the option to borrow against your policy's cash value for your business expenses. I really like this one. I'm going to tell you why. You literally saw it said you can borrow against it. You know what that means? You're still here. So this even can benefit you while you're still living. You don't have to die to be able to utilize some of the benefits of a whole life insurance plan. So keep that in mind as you're kind of pondering now, as you've seen the four types, like which one is going to work best for me? Or maybe I can do a hybrid, is, some of this one and maybe some of that one to meet the needs completely of what my business is going to require. All right. All right. Now, so businesses and entrepreneurs need something that will pay out swiftly. If something happens to that key person, or you are the key person, your family's going to need that money now, because the funeral home directors, they're like J.G. Wentworth. They want their money and they want it now, right? So what we have in place is something called a freedom of choice certificate. It can pay out in as little as 72 hours after filing a death claim with the necessary paperwork. Now, just when I said that, and you have this is a visual of what it looks like right here. And this is a freedom of choice certificate. No other company has a freedom of choice certificate. The company that we represent is Globe Life. But American Income Life is the union portion of that company. We're a subsidiary of Globe. And let me give you a back history about the company. The union portion, which is American Income Life, has been around since 1951. We service over 48,000 unions to include your firefighters, your police officers, your nurses, your UPS, your Communication Workers of America, which is AT&T, you name it. We service them, postal workers, everyone. And so you can imagine the kinds of benefits that are housed in helping, those persons who help us on a day-to-day basis in the service industries. Okay. And so this particular certificate, when you think about your first responders, they get out there pretty quickly. And if something happens to a firefighter or a police officer, these benefits pay out to their spouses in 72 hours, simply because you have the opportunity to be grandfathered in and come on board as a referral or just from being invited by whomever invited you today. You too have the opportunity to tap into these same benefits that usually only first responders and persons who are part of a union get to partake in. So man, give a high five to whoever invited you today, because you get to tap into these kinds of benefits. Now, Now let's get into what they're really about. Okay. So the freedom of choice, I'm going to go ahead and show you a video as to, and let the video explain more of what it's about. Here we go.
Saying goodbye to a loved one is extremely difficult, and even more so when we are not prepared financially. When we do not have coverage for the final expenses and a burden is presented, that could mean thousands and thousands of dollars. The average cost of a funeral continues to rise, and these expenses can be higher depending on where you live. Keep in mind that funeral and cemetery expenses increase each year due to inflation and other economic factors. At 4% a year for the next 20 years, the cost of a funeral will have risen above $30,000. Expenses become even more overwhelming when you consider Social Security only pays a $255 death benefit, and that's if you qualify. That still leaves all the expenses for you and your family to cover. More debt is the last thing we want to leave behind to our family when we die, isn't it? Who will be responsible for those unforeseen expenses that no one is ready for? For this situation, we recommend the Freedom of Choice Certificate, which is funded by Whole Life Insurance. The process is simple. Your beneficiary takes this certificate to the chosen funeral home, makes their arrangements, and agrees on the price up to the face value of the policy. Payment is made directly from our company to the funeral home, and the remainder, if any, is paid to the beneficiary in a lump sum check. The decision is simple, and your family deserves it. We all want our last goodbye to bring comfort, and that is why it is important to consider the freedom of choice.
And it's so very simple. No one else. It's like taking a check, a blank check to the funeral home, and your loved ones are already going to be grieving. They're already going to be grieving, and that's one of the most vulnerable times when they go to that funeral home for your children. If you have a $50,000 policy and the funeral home director knows it, they're going to say that casket costs $49,999, and your children are going to pay for it because mama would have wanted it. So don't let that be what occurs. So let me go back, and I just want to click here and show, click here again and show the certificate. On the front side, it has attention funeral director, because your beneficiary is going to give that to the funeral director. And then what does it have on there? It has a fax number for them to be able to fax this in once it's completed by your loved one. Okay, that 800 number is for the funeral home director to call in. When they call in, they're calling into our home office, our claims department, to say, oh, well, I have this certificate here and it has this policy number. They're not going to say, oh, yes, I see Lisa's policy. She has $250,000. And then now what? Y'all done told all my business. No, we will never divulge how much coverage that a individual has. The funeral home director will only get to know, yes, Mr. Funeral Home Director, the policy is active, and they will go on about doing whatever they need to do. Your beneficiary just writes on the line, we're not spending more than $17,000 or whatever, and because we don't know what the policy is. I'm just giving examples of the fact that they earmark how much they're going to put at the top, because it could have been 2 or 3 people paying for the funeral for all we know. Each of them could have had a $25,000 policy. Let's say it was siblings, and they each of them are giving 9,000. So, or I don't know, each of them are giving 10,000, 5,000, whatever, but it's going to come together and pay for mom or dad's funeral is the point. All right. So the beauty of this certificate is that it makes the process very seamless. All right, let's keep going. So we talked about all the ways that you could prepare for the expected. Now let's talk about the unexpected. Do I have anyone in here that is from Tallahassee or from Alabama, Georgia, North Carolina? And I'm going to stop my screen because I want to see the hands. Is anybody in here familiar with Bruno's grocery store? Do you guys remember Bruno's? No? Okay, Shakenya says yes. Anybody remember Bruno's? And I know it was in Tallahassee. I remember Bruno's. Well, it was there when I was in college. And so now I'm going to share a story. These are business owners. That grocery store has been, okay, Georgia, she said, but never heard of it. All right. So that grocery store had been around since 1932. Now I'm going to bring the screen back up so you guys can pay attention to what happened, because I remember shopping there and getting some really great deals, and then all of a sudden it was no longer there, and it was around the corner from my apartment. So I'm like, yes, for Bruno's, but no more. So once this starts to share again, then you can kind of see what happened. So Bruno's executives died in a jet crash. And this was in December of 1991. And it was really sad because they were on their way to do the Christmas tradition. They'd go to the different stores and visit the employees and give like buttons and shake hands and just customer appreciation. I mean, customer and employee appreciation. They took off. They lifted off in Georgia. They were heading out, and the visibility was no good. And the next thing they know, not long after lifting off and heading out, the plane crashed into the side of a mountain. And in so doing, it took seven key persons from that business with them and two pilots. the, no one can take what's in your head. And so those persons had so much in their head that made Bruno's what it was from 1932. It's now 1999. What a heck of a legacy. And you're going to see so much more as I go into it, why this is so important to deal with. Okay. I'm going to go to my next slide. All right, so let me give you some background. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that before. So that's one piece of their signage, and then there's others. But Bruno's Supermarkets is a chain of grocery stores primarily located in Birmingham, Alabama. It is currently being operated by Southern Family Markets. Here's a history. Joseph Bruno founded this company in 1932. As the company grew steadily, 10 stores were opened in the year of 1959 under Bruno's Inc. In 1970, Bruno's opened up another 29 stores all over Alabama and became publicly traded in 1971. So they really made some strides. You became publicly traded, right? That's great. In 1972, Bruno started Food World. So like not just Bruno's, we got Food World. I don't know if anybody heard of that because I can't see you guys anymore. But Food World, a chain of discount grocery stores, and Consumer Foods, a chain of warehouse-oriented grocery stores. So they really expanded, which was later changed to Food Fair in 1983. And in 1984, Bruno's opened its first Food Max store. So I'm hoping any of these names are jogging memories for you guys. The company did a considerable expansion in northern Georgia and in Florida. So that's like North Florida because it was Tallahassee for us, right? And so when it bought PWS Holding Construction, basically acquiring 58 Piggly Wigglies. Now I'm gonna stop. I gotta see who knows about a Piggly Wiggly. Does anybody know about a Piggly Wiggly? Okay, I got a little more hands about Piggly Wiggly. Hope is like, girl, I don't know none of them grocery stores. Okay. All right, let
I
me.
I lived in California most of my life, so
Okay.
I don't think they were ever
Yeah,
in
those
California.
are all Southern. Okay, no Piggly Wiggly. Okay. All right, so yes. All right, so 58 Piggly Wigglies. They're growing in leaps and bounds, okay? So Bruno's then went into a joint venture with Kmart. Now I know you guys know Kmart now. Everybody, okay, good. There we go. In opening three American Fair hypermarkets between 1989 and 1991 in Georgia, okay? Now, here's another sign. This is a sign I knew in Tallahassee was red, okay? So from the late 1980s to December of 1991, the recession and a tragic plane crash dealt major blows to Bruno's. The combination of low profits and the loss of the company's leaders resulted in a crash of the company's stock price from a high 21 to around 12 in 1993. As sales continued to remain sluggish throughout 1993 and 1994, Bruno's stock price went back and forth from $7 to $10, which made it ready for a takeover. Bruno's was eventually taken over by Kronberg, Kravitz, and Roberts Company in 1995, making Crimson Associates, a subsidiary, its new owner. This did not revive the struggling company. However, by early 1988, Bruno's filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. Things just were not going good anymore. Okay. Here are the key people that were lost. December 11th, 1991. Angelo Bruno, he was the chairman. He was just 69. His brother Lee J. Bruno, vice chairman, 71. Sam Vaccarella, senior vice president of merchandise. He was only 43. I mean, you're really losing some heavy hitters in your business. Edward C. Hyde, the vice president of operations, you lost him too at 40 years old. Randall Page Jr., vice president of personnel, he was hiring, 49 years old. You have Carl Malika, director of produce, 37 years old. And then you have Mary Foss, who was the account executive. Which business do you know can survive all these key people being lost? And I know that's when people started talking about a whole lot more. Don't have the key people flying on the same plane. If I'm going to be on Delta, you go get on United. Or you can still get on Delta, but if I'm leaving at 3, you leave at 7. You should never, ever, ever have all your key people on the same flight. I think that happened in Trump's business as well. I was reading when I was researching this again, because I remember this being talked about so much when I was there in Tallahassee as a college student. And so, word to the wise, for those of you who are in business, if you're traveling to a convention and all those different kinds of things or whatever, if you can avoid it, try to get on different planes or, different times or something like that. So something like this that's so very tragic does not happen and just decimates your business. Okay. All right. So here's another thing that would have gotten an influx of cash to not only the business, but also to the households as well. Here we go.
An accident can happen to anyone, at any time, and in any place. No matter what your age or circumstances, you could be a victim. Just the thought of an accident taking the life of a loved one is very troubling. It's also troubling how frequently an accident takes the life of someone. When you consider that millions of people seek medical attention for accidental injuries each year, you want protection, both physically and financially. Picture yourself trying to make ends meet when you are unable to work. Just as accidents happen in an instant, the lives of your loved ones are changed in that same instant. The emergency accident benefit pays for treatment as an outpatient within 72 hours of an injury. This benefit is not paid if you receive any other benefits under this policy. The hospital confinement benefit pays if you are confined in a hospital due to an accidental injury for any one accident. The intensive care benefit is payable the first day of intensive care confinement, up to a 14-day maximum for any one accident. The accidental death and dismemberment benefit pays scheduled benefits in the event of an accidental death, also known as the principal sum. This benefit amount is doubled if the accidental injury resulted from driving or riding as a passenger in an automobile. Benefits are multiplied by 5 if the accidental injury resulted from riding as a fare-paying passenger in a licensed common carrier, such as a ship, bus, or airplane. The policy pays the full principal sum for a double payment, such as the loss of both hands or feet. The policy pays half the principal sum for a single payment, such as the loss of one hand or foot. This coverage is guaranteed renewable. As long as you pay the premium, your policy cannot be canceled. This policy pays in addition to group, health and welfare, or workers' compensation coverage. Your representative will review the outline of coverage with you and give you specific information about covered injuries, the benefits paid for each injury, and any limitations or exclusions. You can't foresee when an accident may happen, but you can be prepared if it does.
To drop this, because I have to ask a question. Did you guys see that it said it would pay out 5 times the amount if it was a plane crash and you died? Did you all see? There are 2 brothers. That's 300 and 300. That was $600,000 that could have been paid out to that family and the business to help keep things going. Did you all see that I had $19.48 on the screen?
Right.
For $19.48, and that's just not as an individual. That's a whole family. That's a husband, a wife, and children. $19.48 can bring back so much into your household simply because you planned. I'm not saying they didn't plan, but I'm just wanting to make this very plain to everybody. We spend that kind of money on a meal. That's once a month to have that kind of undergirding type of protection. I say it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. So raise your hand if you have $19.48 that you know if ever you had to make a decision like this to say, you know what, that's something that makes sense to me. $19.49, 48 cents, extra penny. I mean, it's a whole lot that you're getting in value. And that's not even considering, let's say they had the crash, but they lived. That's $400, $600 per night. Overnight stay in the hospital. You stay 10 days, that's $6,000. Man. All right, let me get back into it. All right. Are you raising your hand? Or are you just agreeing? Is that now? Let me keep continue to share because I think it's getting driven home. I really hope it is because insurance it's so important and we just don't know how important it is until our parents or our loved ones are the ones trying to put up the house, put up a GoFundMe simply because we didn't plan. And that makes no sense. It makes no sense. So let's keep rolling, guys. All right. Do not position your business for failure. Again, I am not saying that that is what Bruno's did or didn't do. I am just using them as a prime example because it's real. It was 1932 and everything plummeted by 1993, 94 because of a freak accident that happened. This says the faltering chain has put its three Tallahassee stores on the market and will close them if no buyer is found. It's like you out here begging, please buy me, please continue our legacy. It's sad that for all that work, all that, building, all what they did to get where they were and the Piggly Wigglies and all the things that they acquired, the partnerships with Kmart are all for naught because there was nothing to keep it going because they lost so many of the members, the key members. Key man insurance, key person insurance, it's important. It's one thing to have that accidental, but that only comes into play if you could get, into an accident and live or get into an accident and die. The main one is to have the foundation of that freedom of choice. I don't care what you do or how much you do, pick something and put it on yourself because it just makes sense to have. All right? Now, here's another way as a business owner to make sure that you can put something in place as a plan, again, with life insurance. It's called a buy-sell agreement. Not sure if anyone has heard of it before, but I'm going to go over it now. A buy-sell agreement with life insurance is a contract that uses life insurance to help ensure a business's ownership is smoothly transferred when an owner dies or becomes disabled. It's a tool for business succession planning. So you would hate to know that simply because someone passed away and there was not a plan, let's say that you were in business with the husband. It's you and the husband, meaning, he's your guy friend. You two guys are in business. Now all of a sudden he's gone and his wife was a stay-at-home mom. What does she know about the inner workings of the business? Nothing. And she has all the stake. She has all his share because there was not a buy sell agreement or anything in place. You're like, oh Lord, I got to try to figure this out. Time is of the essence. I need to keep moving on. So how does it work? A buy-sell agreement defines how a business owner's interest will be transferred. The agreement can be funded by a life insurance policy. The life insurance policy pays out a lump sum of cash to the remaining owners of the business. The remaining owners use the cash to purchase the deceased owner's shares. So buy out the wife, get on out the way, keep staying at home and raising the kids if that's what you were doing. Give us what we need to go find somebody to replace your hubby and fill the void that we know we got to now fill. Types of buy-sell agreements is an entity purchase. The business buys life insurance policies on each owner. So if I'm business Acme Acres or whatever, and I go buy a life insurance policy on John Doe, Jane Doe, and Jim Doe, I just did that as an entity purchase. I did that. Now, but if I did a cross purchase, each owner buys life insurance policies on the other owners. Jim buys it on John. John buys it on Jane. Jane buys it on both of them, and vice versa. That's a cross purchase. Okay. Now, what are the benefits? It protects the business from turmoil caused by owner's death or disability. It secures the financial future of the departing owner's family because they're going to be questioning, Lord, what's going to happen? He's not here. She's not here. How do we continue on? They're now safeguarded because of something called a buy-sell agreement. And it reduces capital gains tax for the surviving owners. We're still here running business. We need to be protected too. Okay? All right. Now, why does this all work? And if you weren't convinced, not that I'm trying to convince you, my job today is to educate because I believe if you're educated, you can make a well-informed decision because you have all the information. That's why this works. So I'm going to show you one last thing. And for me, when I found this, it was super compelling. Even though I'm in the industry, it still moves me to this day because I'm like, that's real. So let me go ahead and be quiet and let you guys watch. Here we go.
She called me up and she's like, Sanjay, I've known you for 7 years, but you know, as a family, we've never bought any life insurance. We've got two very young children. My husband doesn't believe in insurance. Would you mind me bringing him to you and you can sell him some life insurance? When was the last time you had someone calling you and saying, sell me life insurance? Deal closed. Bring him to my office and I will do the needful. So the next day itself, they came to my office. And after a couple of hours of discussing, we chopped down the options and the product. We started doing all the paperwork. We filled out the application form. Everything was done. He said, Sanjay, I'm going to go home and I'm going to send you a check. And then let's go ahead with this product. Fantastic. So he goes home. He calls me and he's like, Sanjay, small problem. My checkbook's over. I'm going to Bulgaria for 10 days. Would you mind if I give you a check after 10 days? Yeah, go ahead. Makes no difference. I can hold the application for 10 days. Anyways, it's incomplete. We need to still fill out a few more things. Send me the check later. No problem. Well, after 7 days, I got a call from his wife. And she was like, Sanjay, we've had a car accident. Luckily, both the children, they're fine. But my hands, legs, and my jaw is broken. Philip is in a coma. I did not know what to say. This is a friend of mine who's been with me for 7 years. We've studied through university together, and there was nothing I could do for her. She called me the next day and she's like, Sanjay, Philip has passed away. You know, if he would have paid me $320, I would have paid out $700,000 to his family. The application was incomplete. There was no check attached to it. So when a client today tells me, Sanjay, I need time, what are you going to say? You know, if she calls me even today at 3 o'clock in the morning, I will not only pick up her phone, I'll do whatever she asks me to do because I feel guilty. I had the power to protect that family and I did not. When a client tells you, let me think about it, Mr. Client, you have 3 weeks to think about it. Let me put the cover in effect. We have a free look period. Go ask your family, go ask your wife, go ask whoever you want. But let me keep you covered. Because if you have already made a decision that this is what you need, let us implement it. Because I don't know if you will have the right time to implement it. That free look period is there. And we will return 100% of your premium back to you. This business is what we do. How many of us are ready to live with that guilt? Till today, it's been 5 years since that event. I still feel so guilty. When we traveled to this conference, some of us came in cars, some of us came in aircrafts. When we travel in an aircraft, the first thing they show you is a safety video. If the oxygen pressure falls in the aircraft, the oxygen mask will fall down. Help yourself even before you help your own child. How many of us have protected our families? See, we are the doctors in this profession.
That video you just watched was very profound. There are three things that I want to say about the hospital. As you clearly see, that's where I find myself right now, and in life insurance. The first thing I want to talk about when it comes to the hospital is that, did you know that if you go to the hospital, you can't even get life insurance for 6 months after that because they're doing a waiting period? 6 months after that. Now, I know most people may plan to go to the hospital, whether it's for a C-section or a planned surgery, but outside of that, who plans to go to the hospital? Nobody. So here it is, you may find yourself in the hospital thinking you were going to get insurance and you were in the process of getting it, but what happened? You found yourself here and now you got to wait 6 months. That's number one. Number two, before getting into the hospital, there's no documented evidence of any condition that makes you uninsurable. So that's the thing you got to think about. When you get into the hospital, you don't know what that diagnosis or prognosis is going to be that they're going to have as far as your outcome after the findings and the tests that they run. So why not go ahead and lock in your life insurance while you know that your health is still good? Because you don't know what it is that's going to happen or what may be caused, what's going to be caused as far as saying, nope, you are uninsurable. That's number two. And number three, the good thing about me being here, one of the only good things, is the fact that I have living benefits. I have a hospital indemnity plan. For every day that I spend overnight in the hospital, that's $150. That's important to have while your health is still good. If my health wasn't good ahead of time when I locked it in, then I couldn't tap into it now. It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. Contact me today so I can get you secured, you and your family secured for life insurance.
All right. So, again, like I said, we are not here to do any convincing. That was a video that I saw, and, like I said, it moved me because, gosh, we all have friends. We all have people that we care about. For those of us that are in this industry, we can talk till we're blue in the face, but until our friends and family get and understand the magnitude of what life insurance is about, it's like saying, you give me, meaning the company, you give the company $70 and they're going to give your family 50,000. That's a great trade-off. You give me 70 this month, and when things happen, even if it's 4 years from now, 10 years from now, that's $70. It's like you give me this and I'm giving you 50, I'm giving you 100, I'm giving you whatever thousand. Insurance is amazing because the risk is not on us, it's on them the moment we say, here's these $30. Here's this $19.48. You've now positioned yourself to be able to receive something, or your family to receive something, so they're not just grieving and having also a burden. Allow that time to be a blessing because they're not thinking and stressed out because of they don't know where to get the money from. They're putting up the second mortgage and using the title for the car and stuff they don't need to do. Okay, let's keep going. We're nearly done. And I thank you all for your patience. So we are finished. For everyone that attended tonight, you all will get a free gift. We are prepared to give each of you a start in your insurance journey. We're ready to give you $2,000 of accidental death and dismemberment benefit. Get with whomever invited you tonight. They will be able to fill this out to you. You will get this benefit, and it's good for a year. Now, again, that's us helping you to start your journey simply because you had been agreeable to attending tonight, and we appreciate each and every one of you and your time. But for those of you who saw enough and you said this was compelling enough for you to want to take action and put a real plan in place because of all the things that you saw, for those persons, we have some additional gifts for those who actually take action. For you, not only will you get the 2000, but you're also going to get a will kit. That will kit, if you've not already done your will and your last testament, we have a whole kit that's worth about $1,200. All you have to do is fill it out. Earmark everything that you want to leave behind to whomever. Simply take it to your bank or your credit union or whomever you know that's a notary. Get it notarized. And now it's legal and binding. You don't have to go through an attorney and all that because we've already solved that for you by giving you this will kit for those who say, you know what, I'm ready. It's a no brainer. I don't need to wait anymore. I need to take advantage of this. Take that 2000 that you're giving me to start with, get my will kit in order. And lastly, the last thing that we're going to give you all tonight for those who say, put me in play, put me in, coach, put my policy together, that is a family information guide. It's so super beneficial to have a family information guide because this is not a breakfast nook conversation. Hey, do you want to wear your own clothes in your casket? Do you want to wear your own jewelry or your glasses? Nobody talks about that. No one knows that your best friend is actually in Hawaii or in Arizona or in Kuwait. They don't know that, but you guys communicate on Facebook all the time. So if there are key people that you want your family members to contact, everything is listed in the family information guide. If you are in the military, you will be able to write down your service numbers, all these other things that people need to know so that they'll know who to contact when that time comes regarding the military. Do you have a safety deposit box? You do. Where's the key? What do I need to do to get into that thing, to get to the deed and the this and the that? The family information guide is priceless. And again, for those of you who are taking advantage tonight, not only do you get the 2000 and the will kit, but you also get this. It has been my absolute pleasure to serve each of you tonight, giving you this phenomenal information. I pray you learned something, and more than learned something, that you just share the information that you've learned with someone else. So we can open it up for question and answer, and definitely get back to the person who invited you on here tonight. And I am finished. Let me stop sharing. Any questions? You can unmute yourself if you have a question.
I just wanted to say, in 2021, my dad's stepbrother,
Mhm,
went to Mexico. I tried to sell him, get him into an insurance at that point. He was going to
mhm,
go to Mexico to vacation. He
mhm.
went every year. And he said, we'll talk when I come back. He had a heart attack. Like the third day that he was over there, he died. I am not kidding you. And I could not even believe it. At that point, his wife, who was from here, decided that she didn't want the mom anymore because why would she take care of the mom anymore, who lived with them at that point? She was very old, and so she left her in Mexico. That money could have been for her. And he says, when I come back, we'll talk about it. And he didn't come back.
You make a fine point. We all think we have time, but none of us knows the day or the hour. None of us controls time.
Mhm.
And so while we are yet cognizant and able, this is when you take action to do the simplest of things. No one's asking you to break the bank. They're just saying, let's have a conversation. And if there's something that can be put in place, by all means do it. Because just like what Hope just said, and I knew nothing of that conversation. I showed you guys a real life example in the Brunos. I showed you all a real life example that I found online with Sanjay and his friend of 7 years. But praise God, I've not had to have that experience myself. But again, I just want to thank you all for, coming, and any question. Thank you, Hope, for sharing. Any other comments or questions? John, is it John or did I change your name right? What's your name?
My name is James.
James. I did it wrong. Let
My
me
name
fix
is James.
it.
You're fine.
Okay. What's your current
Um,
question?
how long does the A71 policy pay out for staying in the hospital?
Mhm.
Like, how long does that, how many days, or is it, you know, how long does
It's
that?
it can be up consecutive for 365 days for like the 600. If you're in ICU, just like it indicated, ICU is for the first 2 weeks. So that'll be $1,200 for 2 weeks. But then even if you're still in ICU, we'll still give you 600. If you're just in the hospital, let's say I had a guy, I'm going to give you a real life example, from one of my own clients. He is he still is a roofer. And he got the A71, 600 overnight. He was up there, doing what roofers do, the tar and everything, the hot, molten tar, and he slipped and fell. That tar came down on him and he had second-degree burns. He was in the hospital over 60 days. He had to do grafting and you know how it is. Well, I don't know if you know, but a lot of grafting, a lot of adding that skin and the gauze and all that stuff just to get him back to where he needed to be. So if everybody wanted to get out your calculator, 60 days at $600 a day, laying on your back, healing, not worrying about, gosh, I can't get up there on that roof to make sure my mortgage is paid. Anybody doing the math? Feel free to yell it out. $600 a day, 60 days. Okay, we got it in the chat. $36,000. That's sometimes somebody's yearly salary. But $19.48 because of this mishap enabled this man to get $36,000 2 months laying and healing. I don't know what else. I don't know. It just makes sense. And in our industry, it says when it makes sense, it makes dollars. And it does the same for you and your family. That's it. But thank you for your question, James. Anyone else with a comment or question?
I just wish I would have figured this out sooner because out of living 20 years of my life, I've had two car accidents,
Wow.
and one of them put me out of work for 3 to 4 months
Oh my gosh.
because I had two compressed discs in my neck.
Mm,
And I just want to thank somebody here that invited me, which is Hunter, and
hey,
I appreciate it.
Hunter.
And I have learned a lot, and this has made me think about, I've got to get this going now.
I love that. Well, congratulations, James. I'm so glad that you're not only listening, but you're taking action. And I have to say, a portion that I did not even mention, it also has a built in what we call recuperation rider. So even after you get out of the hospital, they're even going to pay you while you're at home recuperating. It might not be 400 or 600 a day, but it may be 60. What can you do with that? You can get some groceries, you can get some gas, that can pay the light bill a day. Come on now. That is the one of the most robust products that I've ever seen that is being provided. And the more you learn and the more you know, I have them all. I picked up every single one of them because I was getting ready to travel to go out of the country. And I was like, wait a minute, I don't have the A71. I called my daughter and I said, and my daughter's an agent. She and I started at the same time. Wave your hand, Jasmine. Jasmine is okay, great. So she and I started at the same time. She was 21 when she started. And just what you've seen me do is exactly what we do for others. So don't think that you can't do this either, because that's this opportunity to help people. If you're someone who likes helping people, do I have people on the line here who like to help people? Well, if you do, don't think that you can't help others by doing what we do, because I'm a hiring manager. So don't feel like you can't say, well, do I need to? Yes, we can help you to become agents as well. We have a track for you to do that. But the point I'm getting at is I called her. I was at the airport. I said, I need this. And as an individual, it's $6. $6. That's a family I just gave you. $19.48 is husband, wife, kids. No, I could be wrong. It's $8. $8 for the $600 one. I think I got the $400 overnight one. No, I didn't. I got the six. Never mind. Yes, but the point that I'm getting at is there's additional benefits that's built into that as well. Recuperating while you're at home, they're still going to pay you. And we have barely touched the iceberg of everything that the company has to offer. But tonight, it was about business owners and entrepreneurs. So I'm really hoping that you guys got a lot out of the types of insurances, the key man or key person, the business owner's insurance, term, whole life, and that buy-sell agreement. And then, of course, the live testimonies of all of those persons that you saw that, just it didn't fare well for their businesses. If there are no additional questions, I am done. And I thank you again for your time.